Hi everybody, it's Kathy from Huckleberry Herbs and Art. Thank you so much for stopping into the channel to see what I'm doing today. While I was cutting these gorgeous lilacs for Mother's Day arrangements for my little farm stand, I was thinking about Heartfelt Creations Lilac Collection. And I definitely wanted to play with it, and I'm trying to get back into watercolor painting again. So I'm not making a whole bunch of molded flowers, but I'm going to use the watering bouquet. It comes with this lovely little can and the cute little dragonfly. And it was one of the few sets that actually had the stamps and the dies in the same package. You might have seen I'm tilting this slightly to make it look like the water's pouring. And I'm going to start off with Amalgam Ink by Gina K. I love this ink. It's great for using things like watercolor paints with because it's permanent. Can't use Distress Oxide. If you're going to wet it like I am right now, then you have to have a permanent ink. And it's always so clear. I love this ink. And it's always, I have to go and check. She's always sold out of it too. People love it. Now, I have not done much watercolor painting in a while, and it is definitely one of those things where practice gets you closer to perfect. There's so many techniques to it. You're going to see here that I'm a little bit heavy-handed, especially in the beginning. These are Daniel Smith paints, and I'm already out of the lines. Look at that. But I'll show you what I do to fix that afterwards. And you can see that they spread out just lovely when you wet first. So this is the starting off with a wet method by getting the water all over this watering can. And I kind of don't want to touch that. I would prefer to leave it because it's very dramatic and it looks beautiful and very granulated. But I'm going to cover the whole can and come back and try and highlight some of the places that Heartfelt Creations actually highlighted on their stamp for shadowing. So this actually has a lot of amethyst. I did a little bit of a mix, and you'll see when I do the, because I'm doing 4 of these, you don't have to watch me do all 4, but as I'm doing these 4, I'm mixing. I didn't mix all the colors all at once. And so each of the cans turns out a little bit different. But this has got quite a bit of their amethyst in it. And you won't be able to see it, but I could see it close up. It's actual amethyst stone crushed into the paints. And so when you through painting with the amethyst, it actually sparkles a little. Imagine that. Paint that sparkles. I just love it. There's so many different types of watercolor paint, and I'm excited to get back into doing it again. I'm sad that I have to start all over with learning all the lessons that I've learned in the past. But they, riding a bike thing, right? It comes back to you. So I'm doing it. And that little spot that's on the edge there, I'm going to come back, and you can see me just after it's dried a little, I'm wetting that spot and just rubbing it, and then I use a dry brush to soak up the color so it almost totally disappears. So after a little practice with the first can, I came back. This time I tried to get more of a grayish tone, so I mixed a few things, a little bit of brown, there's a little bit of I think there's a little bit of green, and then as I went along, look at how they changed. I went more green with each one, and so now I have these 4 different colored, but I actually like seeing all the different tones, 4 different colored cans that are watercolored and ready to go. And now I need to color the lilacs, and as you saw in the real lilacs at the beginning, when they're just opening it, there's so many different colors of violet and lavender, light spots, dark spots, and I start off a little, again, heavy-handed here with, I think I'm using quinacridone rose and a little bit of their amethyst, and then I didn't let it dry at all, so when I came back in with the amethyst this time, it was too much. But lesson learned, the second time I came back with much less water, and this is, I'm using on dry method, right? I did not water the flowers first. The can is a little bit dry so that they don't bleed in, and I have gone easier on the water as I put that more violet color in. And now I've added a little more of the amethyst and gotten a little bit heavier on the paint, but I'm still trying to stay a little bit lighter with the water. And I'm doing the bottom of the branches towards the back of the flowers where I feel that it will be darker, needs more shadowing, and I will eventually come back in and do this amethyst or a little bit more of it to create 2 or 3 different color tones all together, and I think that one came out much better. I also took a little bit of that gray that I had made with the mixing earlier, and I put in a little bit of shadowing on the bottom of the tipped can for each of the ones that I made. And I decided not to paint any of the water. I'm keeping this card very simple. I always have trouble with sentiments. They drive me a little bit crazy, whether I'm keeping them to use for myself, or I'm giving them away as gifts, or I'm going to sell them. I don't want to commit because I don't know what I might use the card for or what someone else might. And so I struggle sometimes with what to put on the cards that I make if I'm not specifically making one for somebody at that moment. And I chose love, wishes, prayers. Doesn't that cover it all? No matter what you're doing for a sentiment needed at the time, I think those 3 words cover it. Now, I decided to add one little bit of something special, and I didn't want to watercolor this dragonfly because I wanted it to be more vivid. I wanted to be able to see the different colors. I didn't want to, especially as I'm out of practice, I didn't want to use the watercolor paint. And I had these on cardstock already stamped up from a previous time I had used them. So I just took my Zig markers, and I haven't used these in a while. I really am going to be putting up a lot of videos with old things because I want to use what I have. I don't think I can afford to continue just to buy all the time. Can you? And so I'm almost in a series here of use what you have. And so I just colored those up and ran them through the die cut machine, and then I decided to go with this grayish, I think it's a cooler tone taupe, and put that on the back of the watercolor paper that I had used for the watering can. And I chose to put the whole thing on ivory colored cards. So this is really, other than the can itself and the black for the sentiments, it's a very muted, simple card, and it's a nice way to start off when I'm trying to get used to watercoloring again. I hope it inspires you. I love watching people watercolor on videos. You should leave a comment and let me know. I would like to know too. Sometimes I'm in the mood to watch really slow and just relax. It depends on if the person's speaking or there's music or whatever. And other times I want them to speed it up. And I did a little of both in this video. I would love to hear from you which you prefer, or if you're like me, you kind of go back and forth. Alright, to finish this up on the front, I just glued the, I decided not to use sponge. I didn't want to put any height into this at all. But I wasn't finished. I'm thinking about the sentiment inside, and I love this with God, all good things are possible stamp from Heartfelt. So what I decided to do was take the extra taupe colored paper that I had put on the border in the front of the card, and I just used up the scraps, stamped it, and I'm not going to glue it in. Whether a person buys it, I might even go back and put some tape so that they can tape it on themselves if they want, or they could have the choice, or I could tape it on for them if I decided to sell these. But in the meantime, I've left the option open as to whether or not, and yet the card has sentiment that's going along with it. So hopefully that took care of my issue at the moment. I just want to thank you for taking the time to watch. Till next time, everybody. It's Kathy from Huckleberry Herbs and Art. God bless.